r/NoSleep. Posted by u/alyssagalloo. Whatever you do, ignore the floaters in your eyes. According to science, floaters in your vision are visible white blood cells drifting in front of your cornea, and people with light-colored eyes are more susceptible to seeing these. I've seen them as long as I can remember. Anytime I look at something for a concentrated amount of time, I can see this weird transparent squiggles clouding my vision. You may not have seen these floaters before, and you may just be noticing them for the first time, but whatever you do, do not try and concentrate on a single one. Now that you've noticed them, you may have already tried to pinpoint a single cell in your vision, and bring it into focus. Stop. You may have realized that the harder you concentrate on a single floater, the farther it dashes away. It's almost as if the vision itself is skipping around, with the floaters moving farther and farther out of your field of vision. They do this so that they will not be caught. My cousin Greg was the one who first told me about the floaters, and gave a name to what I had noticed on and off for my entire life. He said that he had noticed way more than normal, but when he asked a doctor about it, they had just brushed him off since his eyes are a light blue color. But Greg was concerned, as they were all over his vision. He couldn't look at anything without the floaters taking over, consuming his thoughts. He could no longer simply see out of his eyes, without his entire eyesight being consumed with the floaters. Eventually, Greg confided in me about what he was experiencing with his eyes. He was having so much trouble that he had to take a leave of absence from work, because since he was a computer programmer, he was unable to stare at a screen all day without the presence of the floaters becoming completely unbearable. When he stopped working, is when it started to escalate. Greg could no longer function. He tried a blindfold, to stop them from altering his vision, but he eventually began to see them with his eyes closed. This made sleep impossible, and in his delirious state I received the following email. Katie. Do not look. Don't look. Don't look at them. Promise me. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look, Katie, don't look, don't look, don't look. I called him immediately, and all I heard on the other line was a strained wheezing sound, as Greg tried to explain to me that he had noticed patterns in his floaters. There were specific shapes that he recognized, that traveled in specific paths throughout his vision. Eventually they began to travel the same paths so often that he picked up on the pattern, and tried to alter his behavior to stop it. At the end of the phone call, all I hear from Greg, after his maniacal rant, was that he's going to stop them. Naturally, I believe my cousin was in a state of hysteria, and called an ambulance as I was on the drive over to his house. By the time that I and the paramedics reached Greg's apartment, the door was unlocked. We walked inside, and what I saw will never leave my psyche. I saw Greg's body, lifeless on the floor, clutching a grapefruit spoon in his right hand. He had pried each of his eyes out of the sockets, and they lay, still attached to his skull, on the floor next to him. He had died of the resulting blood loss. The last image I have of my cousin is his two bright blue eyeballs, laying on the floor, with thousands of small, gray worms crawling all over the circular balls. Even more worms seemed to pour out of the empty sockets in his head. As far as I can figure from other deep web testaments, these worms infest and take control once in your eyes once you notice them. This is my warning to you. As much as you may want to, ignore the floaters in your eyes. The next story of this video. Posted by u/alyssagalloo. Please make sure you watch your dog cam footage very closely. Yesterday was Black Friday, and I decided to splurge on my fur baby and get one of those fancy dog cameras that hooks up to my phone. I figured it would be a cute way for me to see what he does during the day, and to see if he barks and annoys the neighbors. An awesome feature that this camera has, is that it actually will dispense treats to the dog through a button on your phone's app. I was ecstatic when I brought it home from the store and started to set it up. My dog is a puppy, so he stays in a pretty large playpen throughout the day, just so he doesn't accidentally rip up every piece of furniture I own. I put the camera down on the floor to let him get acquainted with it, while I figure out how to work the app. Now, my dog doesn't bark. He's still a baby, and we've lived in a major city for his whole life, so he's definitely accustomed to strange noises, cars, and yelling from inconsiderate neighbors. But he growled at the camera. The hair stood up on his back, he bared his little teeth, and his tail went pinned straight up into the air. I figured it was just because it's a little robot-type thing staring him in the face, and thought nothing of it. I continued installing the app, and going through the complicated tutorial, and it looked like my dog was chewing something. I thought he must have ripped off a leaf from my plant again, so I ran over to pry his jaw open and pull out the leaf that he got. But when I went over there, he had a treat in his mouth. I thought that was a little weird since I didn't give him one, but I had been fooling with the app, and it must have just accidentally dispensed a treat. Whatever, one extra treat isn't going to kill him. I set up the camera in the corner of the playpen, put the dog in there, and went to bed for the night. Again, in the middle of the night, I hear chewing, and he's gotten another treat. This time, I knew that I didn't dispense it, since I was actually sleeping. But luckily I'm a light sleeper, and an especially light sleeper since my dog is the actual animal embodiment of the Mayhem commercials from Allstate. I must have just gotten a lemon since it was Black Friday, and I lifted it from the playpen so I could get some sleep, and figured I'd just return it today. I work in a hospitality field, so I had work today. I figured a couple of extra treats won't hurt the dog, and I put the camera and puppy back in the playpen while I went to work, mainly because I was really curious to see what he does all day. About 2 hours into my 4-hour shift, I get a barking notification, and he's barking again. That's really strange because like I said, he never barks. But as I tune into the camera, I can hear a knocking at the door. I didn't order any packages, so no one should be knocking on my door. I went back and checked the previous footage from that morning, and I can see my dog staring intently, his head cocked to one side, listening at the camera. He stands there listening for a couple minutes, a treat pops out of the camera and he gobbles it up happily. That's definitely strange. There's a talking feature, but I haven't used it, so I can't figure out what he could possibly be listening to, and why do treats keep dispensing. As I'm wondering all of this, I get another barking notification. I tune into the live video of the puppy, and hear the knocking again. Then I faintly, but distinctly, hear Palmer. Someone was calling my dog's name. Through my front door. No one should know he's there, or know his name. This is too much. I clocked out of work immediately and raced home, calling the police on the way. There is someone trespassing around my home trying to get to my dog. I meet the police at the scene and there's no one there. There's some faint mud footprints, but they can't distinctly prove that they're not mine. I'm smashing that damn camera, and changing the locks on my doors. So please, check your dog cam footage, and if it seems even a little off, smash it to bits, and don't think twice.